Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize there. Looks like we're late by a minute, but it's okay. We have a big show for you guys. A very early stream. We usually do these things at 1 a.m. in the morning when no one's available. But this is a big one. This is a huge show. If you guys know and remember, Jake Lang came on the show on the channel to talk about his major lawsuit against Zoran Mamdani, which already got docketed. I actually tried to get the filing, and I think Jake will send it to me, hopefully. And maybe we can do a separate video in the future when Mamdani gets dragged to court by Jake Lang. But Jake Lang went to Dearborn, Michigan recently, and he's planning some major things for Ilhan Omar's Republic of Minnesota, the Somali Republic of Minnesota. He's planning some major things. I'm going to bring Jake in now. Jake, how are you, man? What do you have on your head, man?
I've got a kufi on. I'm currently driving right now to do an undercover operation at one of the biggest terror cells in the country. I can't tell you guys where I'm going right now, but in one of the biggest CARE, the Council on American and Islamic Relations, they have a major terror network, basically meetup happening today. So I'm under full undercover. I've got my kufi, I've got my dashiki, and I'm going in, going double dark, double blind.
Okay. This guy, man. Oh, yeah, I saw that before starting the stream, guys, but it's still funny just looking at it. But Jake, you have some major plans coming up. But first, I want to show the people what you did recently because it took the internet by storm, it took the country by storm. Jake went to Dearborn, Michigan, where a similar thing that's happening in Minneapolis is happening there. That's Rashida Tlaib's congressional seat. And he took it over. He brought Patriots with him and he took it over, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch a little bit of this. That's definitely not Jake getting hit in the head. Okay, that happened. You would think these people come here and respect free speech, but they're hitting people over the head.
George, look at right behind me in that frame. What do you see right there? A police car, Sharia law police. They refuse.
Oh, I didn't
Look at
even
that
see
right
that.
there. That's
Wow.
how bad Dearborn, Michigan is. The police watched as we got food thrown on us, cigarette ashes. They picked up literal mulch and dirt, threw it on us, punched us in the face, pepper sprayed us, slapped at us. Kicked at us, tried to steal our property. And they did not make a single arrest. They let us know that this is their area and that the Sharia law, the Islamic Quran, is what they have allegiance to and not to the American people or our Constitution.
Wow. I
Thank
didn't even
God it
notice
was some
that.
twig kid, because
Yeah. I didn't even notice you took that punch well. I mean, you got a stronger chin than Mike Tyson. That was impressive. You just kept it going. What's interesting is you filed the lawsuit. Well, it's not interesting at all. I expected it for $200 million in damages from that city. We're getting a little lag on Jake's end there, but he's frozen right now. He's frozen from The Incredibles. But you're back. Yeah, but you filed the $200 million lawsuit against the city, and then you pulled up to City Hall or to wherever they hold these meetings, and you ripped them apart, Jake. I just want to share this with people because I think it's one of the most powerful speeches ever delivered, and you're going to be doing the same thing in Ilhan Omar's corrupt Somali Twin Cities. The Twin Cities that used to be beautiful, used to be Danish, used to be Swedish. Now, what they are now, they're Somalian.
unrecognizable. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, this is, I don't know if you have
Okay, Jake, we didn't have audio there for a second. On the video, that was my fault, guys. I forgot to share the audio. This is what happens when you do it live, man. You know, all these little technical problems. But okay, we could start over. It was only like 20 seconds.
The world was 30% white.
This speech, guys, I don't know, just as God, I was thinking before I stood up there, I had to just speak through me.
Particularly aimed at the destruction of white people. The Islamification of America is aiming to meet the same goal.
Even 100 million
Our
more
people,
Americans and people all over the world. That's how we feel. That's why it's important. It's how we feel right now.
Jake, you're lagging just a little bit. Let me play this. Let me play a little bit of the speech. Okay, we'll bring Jake back. He's lagging a lot. We'll play a little bit of the speech so you guys understand what he's saying here. But he ripped them apart on that city council meeting. I apologize for the technical difficulty. Jake is going to join back in a second here. He's driving a long distance, so.
White Christian, European, Western civilization. We built the arts. We built the Colosseum. We have ran the world into the industrial age. And now this people here, the Muslim community, is looking to drag us back. They're looking to oppress women, oppress homosexuals. They're looking to destroy everything that makes America great. President Trump, send ICE into Dearborn. These people have overstayed their visas. They're H-1B chain migration invaders, and they have come to this country to destroy our way of life.
There we go. Okay, Jake. So that was your speech in Dearborn. And now what are you planning to do in the Twin Cities in Minnesota?
So we are storming City Hall peacefully, obviously, but
don't get in trouble again. You're already a J6er, man. Don't say storming. Don't say riots. Nothing. You're protesting and you're marching on Minnesota. Yes.
No. Yes, we're using our First Amendment rights to peacefully protest the Somalian takeover. I mean, it used to be known as cities. Now it's a pirate city. And it's just disgusting. One of the things that struck my heart, which was a predicate for me announcing this march, which has happened January 17th, 2026, was the fact that I looked at a video of the kindergartner graduating class in Minnesota there, in Minneapolis, and it was completely unrecognizable. It literally, all the kids were wearing burqas, and there wasn't a white kid in the entire graduating class. And so I started doing some research, and I saw that you type in the next 1,000 babies to be born in Minneapolis compared to 1970 when it was a 95% white state, white area. The next 1,000 babies born in Minneapolis are 42% only. 42% are going to be white. So in one generation, you have dramatic, rapid demographic shift and cultural shift there that really just ends up making the area be completely un-American. Hundreds of thousands of Somalis there, and they've taken over the culture, the way people dress, the language. I mean, there's videos out there on the internet that some of these people don't even speak English. A lot of them don't. Their first language is Somalian, and they don't even have a second language. So we need to stand behind President Trump right now. He has come into basically 100% alignment with the rest of the MAGA base in saying that these H-1B visa chain migration invaders that do not assimilate all need to go. And you saw the talking points of President Trump and Stephen Miller and all the rest of the administration have gotten really, basically, it sounds like the exact speech I gave there in Dearborn City Hall. President Trump is now in full alignment. I think that we're going to see some hyper-aggressive ICE raids on Dearborn, Michigan, on Somali, Minneapolis, and honestly, this is what's going to ignite the base and how we're going to win the midterms. We have something that is we can rally around, the reclamation of the American way of life, our heritage, our population, and I believe that if President Trump continues on this path, we will see one of the greatest political movements just continue to wheel. We're going to steamroll through the midterms, and 2028 is going to be easy because people are going to see that tangible shift back to how America used to be. Crime rates are going to be lower, wages are going to be improved, home rates are going to be opening up because our country was not built to sustain 50 million parasites, illegal immigrants, just soaking up all of the public funding. It's basically all coming from white people. We're subsidizing the third world right here at home, and we can't have that any longer, my brother.
Yeah. So you are going to be marching on Somasoda, right? Taking it back from Ilhan Omar and just putting that heat on them. In Dearborn, no one really knew what you were doing. Only a few people did. But in Minnesota, I think a lot more people are going to be aware of you. I mean, the post you made on X has tens of thousands of likes already. We have 1,700 people watching, and I'm sure some of them live in Minnesota, so they might travel down. But Jake, I think what you're doing is absolutely critical. You know, some of the methods are funny. You know, don't get me wrong; they are hilarious. I think you burned some holy books before you.
Unholy. The Quran, in my opinion, is not a book that should be revered in America. It
Right, it's
teaches
not a
on
holy
American
book. Yeah,
values. And, for some people, they consider it sacred, but that to me, those people, this is, at the end of the day, when you have the bacon, which I had in the Quran, and I was demonstrating together the clash, because the bacon represents America, right? The Quran represents the Middle East, Islamification. And so what I'm doing there is I'm doing a demonstration in order to protest, in order to draw attention, in order to make a bold statement that these two things, bacon, America, and Islam, cannot come together. They're clashing, and we're seeing all over the country shift that is, really scary. People. National Guardsmen are being murdered outside the White House while radical jihadis scream Allah Akbar. That is, this is problems here that we're seeing. Children are losing their lives. This was a 20-year-old young lady, a woman, that was murdered. And it's not the first by far or the last. I mean, does anybody remember the Boston bombings? Does anybody remember 9/11? Do we not remember what these people have tried to terrorize and do to our country? And I won't stand for it. And this is part of the reclamation of the American crusade, the spirit of the founding fathers, this Christian march to get back out on the streets, to claim territory, to no longer be humiliated in our own country with, hundreds of Muslims prostrating and taking over city streets in New York City, in all these different cities. They're basically doing a humiliation domination ritual on our streets, trying to show the American people we're dominant over you. Our culture is coming to destroy you. And Charlie Kirk said it the best, and anybody can say it. Islam is the sword that the left will use to slit the throat of America. And they vote 80% Democrat. They really are unaligned with our American values, and they've got to go. Now is the only time under President Trump where we can put this type of pressure on, and Homeland, Security and ICE and all these agencies are hearing our voices. You guys watching this video, liking, commenting, sharing, and getting involved, signing up to be a part of Americans Against Islamification, AAI, my new organization, which if you guys want to support that, you can pull up this website. It's givesendgo.com. It's a fundraiser we're doing to help fund our marches. givesendgo.com/Dearborn March. givesendgo.com/Dearborn March. And we have a few different marches scheduled already on the horizon. We're going to Texas, Plano, Texas, which is the home of Epic City, the Muslim-only stronghold, literally the Muslim-only city, right there in the heart of Texas. Plano, Texas is December 13th. Just Google Epic City Mosque. It's this massive mosque in the middle of Texas, and there's like 4 or 5 within walking distance of it. The place has been completely Islamified. So we're going to Plano, Texas, December 13th, 1 p.m. Central. We will be marching there. There's going to be a lot of great demonstrations. I linked up with a couple pig farmers. We're going to be doing a pig march
Oh
on
gosh.
Plano, Texas.
Well,
Yep.
Jake, one of the things people say is you're like a Jewish op sent by, I don't know, Mossad to come. Well, first of all, you are Jewish, but you're Christian. I think you also burn the Talmud. Like people don't know that. You're a
They should.
Christian.
I mean, it's got over 1 million views on my ex. But yes, my mother is a Russian Ashkenazi Jew. She's completely, Americanized, secularized. Her side of the family's been here like 5 generations. But I was raised Catholic. My dad is Irish and German. Big 6'3" Irishman. I went to Catholic school, First Holy Communion. I never went to temple growing up. I wasn't bar mitzvahed growing up at 13. I was raised like an American Christian kid, and that's the only life I know. I'm a white man, and I just look around at white America, and I'm seeing basically the complete great replacement of what used to be the main demographic and the main culture, the main heritage here. The people that founded it were white Europeans, and that's why America is so great, because we have this heritage, the Magna Carta and European values, and the age of the Enlightenment. And if you take all the Americans out and replace it with third world Somalis and Afghanis and Pakistanis and Indians.
It wouldn't be America. Like you need those Western values. You need Rome is different from, I don't know, Mecca. It's a very different place from Mecca. So yeah, you do need to be to hold those values. You have to believe in free speech. There's no free speech in Saudi Arabia. You say something against bin Salman, you're going to be Salman. Salman are going to be feasting on you the next day. So yeah, of course. But you were baptizing people in prison, in the gulag as a J6er. I know this and I believe this because of the testimonies of people that know you, the people that were in the gulag with you. They would tell me you were facilitating. You were like a mobster in there, helping everybody out. You were like Sonny from A Bronx Tale. You were just keeping the neighborhood all good. So I think when people go, "Oh, you're Jewish," and you're like an op, I laugh that off.
It's like thank you for that, and it's definitely dampened a lot. Listen. This American crusade and these marches we're doing are literally shaping culture. They're changing political policies. ICE was in Dearborn 2 days after we were there. President Trump is basically, on the same exact war path that we're on. So there's really nothing they can do to stop this amazing movement. But the dissension that's come from everybody always trying to find like what's wrong. And, there's this I call it pull downism. Everybody in the conservative movement, because it's full of a lot of strong alpha men such as yourself, Biazzi, and many others, they have this kind of sometimes this inherent willingness to just pull down one another so that another alpha strongman figure doesn't emerge and start to take up clicks or likes from them. So they have this very gated, gatekeeperish attitude, and they're willing to just, in the face of literally the first white Christian on the streets movement that we've had in this country in a long time, rooted in MAGA, rooted in Christianity, rooted in American first. They're willing to literally just try to destroy that and say, he's a Jew, he's a Jew, he's a Jew. But they don't know my testimony. They should, because I've said it on every news station and TV station, thousands of interviews for 4 or 5 years while I was in prison and even before, and burning Talmud and stuff like that. But what we're building here far exceeds, the detractors out there, because at the end of the day, the keyboard warriors that are too afraid to go and try and start something themselves or lead something themselves will always be, the bleacher creatures from the outside looking in, trying to ridicule the man in the arena. And, to them, I just invite them with open arms when, their mom's done baking their mac and cheese and delivering it downstairs to the basement. If they feel like manning up and joining me in Texas or in Minneapolis, we will be there as Christians standing up against this great insurgency of Islam. And at the end of the day, Paul himself, the lead disciple, who was a Pharisaical Jew, he was deep in the Jewish, the ancestry, the knowledge. He was a persecutor of the church. And I know that all of the disciples in the New Testament, they're all Jewish, but I know, God's grace given through the love of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. Doesn't matter if you were once Muslim, you were once Hindu, you were once Jewish. God's Spirit is more powerful than any spirit of the enemy. And those who come and say Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior and who stand for Western Christian values alongside me, it doesn't matter their color, their creed. If you stand for the same things I stand for, you love America and you're willing to lay down your life for this country, I want you standing beside me. And that's how I feel. And let the detractors continue to try to, get relevancy off of these amazing protests and march and demonstrations we do, because that's the only way they can stay relevant at the end of the day. They're just engagement farming off my content. So
Absolutely.
it is what it is.
Here's one thing I think is really important about what you're doing. When you went to Dearborn, many Americans didn't even know what was going on there. They didn't even know that an American city, had prayer calls that disrupted people's mornings 5 times a day. They didn't even know that these things were going on in Dearborn. So when you go to Minnesota, when you pull up to the Twin Cities, look, I have family that lives in Minnesota. You know what they tell me? They tell me that there are parts of the city that they go to and it doesn't feel like America because all the women are they're covered in black, they look like it's a funeral every day. They're just covered in black. They have neighborhoods that you really don't want to go to because no one speaks English. You go to certain stores and no one speaks English, and they expect you to accommodate them instead of learning English. So I completely understand what you're saying. There was this video that came out recently of this deported Somali. So one of the Somalis that got deported recently, and he got drop shipped back to Somalia. And, he's crying already because he's realizing, hey, I took America for granted.
وعلى السريع أنا معهم ملنا دبي أنت اللي وضو باسبوركي ولا قاتي وعلي ساوك جرا أنت قفوا إمبسي لصار لكورو إلهك بغض لسؤال عند علي. I don't want to be here no more. I'm so tired of being here. This place. This is where I'm living. I'm so tired of it. It's just like,
yeah, he's certainly tired of it, Jake. That does not look like a good situation to be in. I actually saw someone make a post that Somalia is a country that has existed far longer than the United States. Like they were using this as an attack against Trump. And it's like, hey, they had a 1,700-year head start and it's still a dump, right? And the truth is, it's because they don't have those Western values you were talking about. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in free markets and free trade. Somalia is ruled by not a president, but clan lords. And they have different jurisdictions that each clan lord controls. And that's why they can't get anything done on a national level.
And that's why they can't even get anything done in Minnesota either. If you remember, they recently had the Zoran.
They can get something done. It's called PPP fraud. It's called Medicaid fraud. That's what they do, man.
And 100%. And there was I don't remember his name, Omar Fateh, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
That was running in Minneapolis, but because he's from a different clan than a lot of the other Somalis there, they have some tribal bloodline feud from God knows, probably from 1,700 years ago, and they can't even band together inside their own community because tribalism and this archaic mindset still rules them even here in America, and their allegiance always will be to Muhammad, the pedophile prophet, and to their Quran and to Sharia law. That's why the police in Dearborn don't enforce the law to protect Americans that are being assaulted. And that's why I can guarantee you in Minnesota there, Minneapolis, also the police are going to be, extremely hate-filled towards the Trump supporters, towards the white Christians there, because they really are trying to show us that we are not welcome in our own country. It's very simple. They don't want us to feel like that is somewhere. It's a no-go zone. That's what they call it. And President Trump said it. There should be nowhere in America that's a no-go zone.
That's why I supported the National Guard deployments to all these inner cities, because when I was growing up in Colorado, a very safe area of Colorado, me and friends would talk about, places you couldn't go. Oh, Jake, don't tell me you crashed.
No, I
Don't.
didn't.
we don't need you. We need you
I
alive,
I
man.
I can
You got to
crash
do this
out, but I
rally.
won't crash.
We need you to do this march before you go. At least this one last march in Minneapolis. But yeah, friends would always tell me, "Oh, you don't want to go to Tennessee, Memphis. You don't want to go to Chicago, O Block." And I was always annoyed by that, because I thought, why are we glamorizing criminality? Why are we glamorizing places you can't go? Why are we making it seem like it's cool that you have cities in America that people can't go to? So I love the fact that the president is taking this direction. In fact, Somalians in Minnesota are livid that President Trump is preparing their deportation. The president made it very clear. I thought you wrote that Truth Social post because of how it was.
A lot of people sent me that, like, Jake, the president is using all the talking points you were using in your Dearborn march. He surely watched your march video, and I wouldn't go that far. I believe that me and President Trump, this is why the American people voted him in at the end of the day. And when he starts to see the backing of the American people out there on the streets, making this content, and the millions and hundreds of millions of views and likes and comments of the support that we have, it shows the president that he's not going to be, he's not overstepping his boundary. This is the mandate we gave him. And I'm very glad to see them taking this immigration, mass remigration. Remigration now is what Homeland Security tweeted earlier today, 7 million views. And denaturalization.
They tweeted, okay, I like that. I didn't know they tweeted that. That's awesome. Well, you mentioned earlier that the police up there in Minneapolis could be just as disgusting as the police in Dearborn. But I think with your lawsuit against the city of Dearborn, they might be scared. They might actually want to be on your side a little bit, or at least not be against you as Dearborn was, because they literally saw you get assaulted and did nothing, which is disgusting, man. It's really disgusting.
That's why we put forth that lawsuit, really to set a precedent, to put all these other, jihadi areas on notice. First and foremost, that, these assaults will not just go unnoticed, that not only civil penalties are coming, but Harmeet Dillon, I don't know if you guys saw this, but if you go on my page and scroll down a little bit, Harmeet Dillon is in head. She's the number 2 in the DOJ. She's the civil rights attorney for the Department of Justice. And she has reached out to me publicly and told me that she wants to start an investigation, criminal investigation, into all the hate crimes, because these people committed hate crimes against white Christian Americans. They hate us, so they assaulted us for who we are. And she wants to investigate, and I have people inside the Civil Rights Division, ex-lawyers of January 6ers that, are great patriots that want to turn Dearborn into the J6 of the Trump administration, as far as not political persecution, not unjust arrest, but using the actual powers of facial recognition, the FBI, and going and making mass arrests from all the people who spit on us, threw food on us, threw mulch on us, punched us, pepper sprayed us.
Jake, you're telling me our government can prosecute criminals and not go after grandmas who walked in holding American flags at the U.S. Capitol, a building they pay for? That's interesting. So, yeah, this is Harmeet Dillon, Assistant U.S. Attorney or Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division, asking you to reach out with information needed to start an investigation. So I think that's crucial. I think they're going to make an example out of any of these cops or cities that prefer to side with these disgusting people who don't believe in the First Amendment. Look, the most basic thing you have to accept when you come to the United States is
people might offend you.
Yes. Thanks for that. Was a perfect moment. You just finished my sentence. But exactly. You're going to get offended, but that's okay. That's okay. Just offend back. If someone calls you the N-word, Find a different word that might work for them. There's actually no, to me, I'm a free speech absolutist. The only things I don't support are, calls to violence, which are already illegal. They're not free speech. But if you are getting offended by words or anything like that, then, you know, you can't call yourself anything other than, a third worldist in that instance.
Well, they come from totalitarian regimes, and they're used to having the boot of the government firmly planted on their neck in all the countries they come from. So to enforce, and here we go. I mean, already I'm passing by somebody wearing hijab here. I'm getting close to my operation zone. Literally.
So if you guys don't know, for the people joining late, Jake is going undercover as we speak. I don't know where. He's not going to tell us because he doesn't want to tip him off because we have a lot of people watching, and I'm sure some defectors. He has his.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
I'm playing around with my. I think it's called. I can't remember what this is called. The male dress. This is the first time I've ever worn. I literally got into the car earlier, and my dress got caught in the door. I thought I never would experience that. I seen girls do that when they sit down, but I was wearing this earlier, and I got in the car, and my Muslim dress, got caught in the door. The dashiki, that's what it's called. It's very, very un-American, but there we go. That's how it's gonna look, right there.
Oh man. Well, what's interesting about you is you went on, I think, a guy who is Muslim, his show, Suleiman. You went on his show,
Yes.
So you're not in this to, create an echo chamber. You're trying to spread this message, even to the Muslims, like, hey, understand this is what we're doing and this is why it matters. And honestly, everyone needs to understand that, look, Jake has his ways of preaching his message. And some of those ways are hilarious and they are bombastic. But we need that right now. We need to change and push this Overton window and open the fields of conversation so we can really talk about what it means to assimilate, what it means to, come and absorb the culture rather than expect to be accommodated. So it really matters actually what you do. It's not, these aren't things to be not taken seriously. These are important things that you're doing, Jake.
Well, honestly, the anger that is in my heart is this shared anger amongst the demographic of people who look like me and are my age, white Christian men in, their 20s, 30s, 40s. We watched Irina Zaruski be murdered in cold blood by the violent black ghetto thug that had been released from prison dozens of times. And then again, we just saw Chicago, another young white woman just get burned alive by another violent black thug. And the National Guardsmen be killed by these jihadis. And we're looking around white America and we're saying, like, how many retweets is it going to take until our people are safe in our own homeland, right? And I just started saying, I'm done with retweet culture. I'm done with, like and share and subscribe to, save Irina Zaruski. That's not how it's done. You need to show strength in the face of all of this brokenness in America, the Islamification, the ghettoification of America, the foreign interest takeover by Israel and Qatar and by the CCP Chinese. You need to show strength on all these fronts. And, the Islamic front right now that we're on is so important because we've seen the results already. People, they can argue with me all day long, but you can't tell me what I'm seeing in London with my own eyes is kosher, is normal, is regular, is American or European. It's not. It's absolutely broken immigration influx that has shifted the complete demographic and the complete makeup and the complete way the society's run over there. So I see London, I see Berlin, I see even Rome, Italy right now doesn't look like it should. I see Paris, France, all becoming like open air markets that you would go in, in Baghdad or in Mumbai and see. And I see it coming to America. And so I am a man of action, and I'm not just going to retweet the videos. This anger that's boiling inside me and all the other Western men that watch my speech, that watch all these tragedies happen to our people, and without any answer. Now it's time we mobilize peacefully, patriotically, stand up for our values, our country, because the Trump administration is just like any other governmental administration. Even though it's a very, very blessed one with our same values, they're not going to move until they have the predicate, the people behind them. The reason why we got pardoned, Behissy, is because of activists and journalists and reporters and the American people crying out in the streets for our salvation, for us to be released from prison. And so what we do here on YouTube, here on X, and the places where we congregate really matters. And, not to say that retweeting something's bad or whatnot, but for every 10,000 people who retweet something, there's got to be 2 or 3 that are willing to go and stand up and join a march or give $10 to a fundraiser or in any way become part of the change that they're wishing in their hearts they could see. So don't just sit back and think that you can play spectator. This is a team sport. Saving America is going to take all of us, a quarterback, a defensive line, an offensive line. We've got to get this ball over the goal line, which is saving America before they can steal another election. We need to save America. So I'm out here doing the work that God put on my heart to do, George.
Right. So in Samasota, you plan on going to the city hall. Now, you and I spoke about some technicalities about how that works. Can you go into a little bit more detail yet, or are you just going to kind of keep that in your back pocket?
No. We'll go to detail. We're going to be doing a press conference outside City Hall. The thing about City Hall in Somalian, Minnesota, is that they changed the laws, literally, so that you cannot speak openly in their public comment time. That in every other jurisdiction in America, citizens have the right to come and speak on any item they wish to speak on, like you saw in Dearborn me do. So in Minneapolis, they don't allow you to speak on anything that's not a direct agenda item. So I will be going to Minneapolis prior to the January 17th march. And by the way, bring your coats. It's going to be chilly, but the fire of American liberty will be ignited and keep you warm. But I will be there prior to that, trying my best to get a word in edgewise on the city council talking about the Somalification of Minneapolis. So I will be doing that, so that we don't get cut off on Saturday, January 17th, when this march happens, we'll have our own podium and speaker set up, and I'm going to have a lot of big, famous conservative speakers there with me. So we're going to march. I'll release some march plans. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all these plans, this is the place to go. Get on our email list so that you can get direct knowledge and understanding of where we're going to be, how we're going to meet up, what to bring, what not to bring. Go to dearbornmarch.com, dearbornmarch.com, and there's a little form on there. You fill it out, phone number, email address, and we'll take care of you, giving you updates on all of our planned demonstrations so you guys can be completely plugged in. And if you're willing to donate to our cause, because we need security, as you saw, I didn't have enough security at my last event, and I ended up getting punched in the face and amongst pepper sprayed and many other things. Help us pay for our security and help this march go really, really well. Go to givesendgo.com/Dearborn March, givesendgo.com/Dearborn March, and help us keep this American crusade rolling.
Well said. All right. Well, look, Jake. You're crazy. So just stay safe out there in January. But I'm sure we'll probably do a show before that. But the last time you came on, you spoke about a few other things that you were planning to do. Not only did you sue Zoran Mamdani for planning to tax white New Yorkers more to pay for his socialist programs for Indian taxi drivers, Bangladeshi store owners, or whoever else he acknowledged during his victory speech, but what else did you do? Did you actually go ahead and file the lawsuit against California yet, or are we still waiting on that?
So obviously the Dearborn March took, by firestorm the entire internet, but we do have plans. We have our jurisdictional anchor, meaning the person that we're going to be filing under over there, because one of the other trickle-down effects of Biden's horrendous immigration policy was that all these immigrants need jobs, and they're applying for jobs that they're not allowed to have, such as commercial truck drivers, because they can't even read the road signs, and they don't have the, they're playing on their phones, and they're using the auto drive, and they're murdering, literally entire carloads of white Americans, which we saw in California with Jengjit Pringat, I believe his name is, murdered 4 Americans while driving as an illegal immigrant, with somehow California's DMV is just funneling in all type of illegal immigrants into their commercial driving, schools and giving them licenses. So we will be suing the California DMV for their complete gross incompetence and really their illegal influx of third world migrants driving these death machines and killing people. In Florida, we saw too. So we're going after California because our research is showing us over 20,000 commercial driver's license are actually given to illegal immigrants, and that is against the law. So we're going to be cracking down on that as well. And we have the January 6th lawsuits, which, I really, really want to see all my brothers who have their lives destroyed. They need compensation and restitution for what they went through. So we're spearheading those as well on Christopher Wray, on different apparatchiks in the DOJ, our prosecutors, our George Soros prosecutors, some of our judges. These activist judges have been named in these lawsuits. So we're really going to get down. Lawfare is what the left uses to try to silence us, oppress us. Look what they did to President Trump, to Rudy Giuliani. So we need to take a play out of their handbook and push against them with the same righteous lawfare that they're using, but just using it in the right direction to show these people that we will not, be wimps and become victims in our own country. We're going on the offensive. So very important to continue this momentum we have right now, because you can guarantee if they're in power, they're going to imprison us all, and it's not going to be pretty. So we need to show the same vigor and fight against this evil before they pull some stunt and get us all put in prison again.
Yeah, I saw a video recently, which I want to share right now because I think it's an interesting video. It's someone who doesn't look like you at all, but agrees completely. Well, I look like
That's
him.
my brother. That's my brother, Andre Williams. He's a good friend of mine. He's a conservative content creator.
Yeah, I like his content a lot. He's
You about to throw down here in the middle of the street. Hey, man, listen. These people hate our country. They hate everything we stand for. We have to oppose them everywhere they go, all right? Black or white. If you're a Christian in this country, these people hate your way of life. They oppose your existence. We can no longer allow this. And they come over here with their Ford Fusions. Go back to your country, all right? Go back to Somalia. Bye-bye. Go back. You think any of this is fear-mongering from the right? No, it's necessary. It's not fear-mongering. We need to do this because we're looking what's happening across the pond in Europe, in Berlin, and France, all over, in London. Do we want to be like that? No. And black people, guess what? This country that you live in, you benefit from it. You should stand with your Christian brothers. Stand with our white brothers and sisters. This is our country that we've built together. We lose it, we have nothing. We lose this land, there's nothing else. You're not going to go to Africa and survive. You're not going to go to the Middle East and survive. Guess what? America was built by Christians. White people conquered the land. Black people benefit from it. We have to stand up for it. That's important.
Okay, Jake, he said something there about what's going on in Europe. Like, we can look over there as well. Yeah, Malmo, Sweden was one of the safest places in the world. It was normal. And then in 2004, with that crisis where they brought in all these refugees from Syria, from Somalia, from Afghanistan, from all these different countries, that place is now one of the most dangerous places in the world. It has more crime than you can imagine. In fact, so much so that their neighboring city in Denmark, has immigration restrictions coming in from Sweden because they don't want what's happening there to happen in Denmark. So it's absolutely a matter of fact that where you have third worldists who do not align with the Western values, free speech, free government, um, media, anything, where they're not from these authoritarian countries, they will do that to the society. And that's what they've done to Minneapolis. I saw a video recently where it was from Nick Shirley as well, where he was interviewing these Somalian individuals and they were telling him, no English, only Somali. And it's like, where do you think you are? You're not in Somalia. You're in America. You should speak English when you're. And then they say, oh, bring the camera down because they don't want their women on camera. And it's like, okay, well, it's a public street that taxpayer dollars funded. So what are you talking about? We can record wherever we want. But it's like, yeah, so this guy's completely right. I know you wanted to add something to that.
Oh, no, just a great American patriot. And, we need 10,000 more Andre Williams, Jake Langs, George Behizzies. And, we need Americans that are absolutely bold in their conviction that this is a Christian country to start demonstrating, start being active, because it is in, it doesn't take the famous saying, right, is that all it takes is strong men to do nothing for evil to take over, right? You don't even need to be weak or strong in these scenarios, but not acting is the weakest thing we can do. And so to be a strong man in these scenarios is just somebody just bold enough to be willing to stand up and fight for these values, because we won't have a country. President Trump, when he said it on the campaign trail, we didn't really believe him. We thought it was like some hyperbolic thing that he kept repeating. But he kept saying to us, you won't have a country if these people win. And it's looking like Europe has completely fallen. They don't have countries anymore. They have these amorphous blobs of human beings moving around in a commercial setting, but they don't have a shared heritage, a shared value, a shared trust-based system. They're cultureless now. They've been robbed of all of it. Soon all of the ancient, beautiful art pieces of artwork and buildings and, architectural masterpieces will all be teared down, in the name of Allah and replaced with mosques. Pretty soon, you won't have any vestige of the human sacrifice that got our societies to where they are. It's a shame.
Right. And here's that video of Somalis in Minnesota who you're going to encounter in January for sure. Here's the video of them just not wanting to speak English.
What's it like being a Muslim here in the United States?
I'm not speaking English, only one Somali language.
What does it mean to you to be a part of Islam?
I don't know, I'm not speaking English very well.
How are you? Do any of you speak English? English? No. Can women speak on camera? No. I kept going because I wanted to speak with some more of the elders here to see if they could share their story about coming here from Somalia and how they've seen the rise firsthand. However, none of them spoke English. How are you? Can I ask any of you guys some questions? No? Speak English?
English, no.
No? Do any of you speak English?
And most of them, because they don't speak English, don't have a job. But you know who pays for their living? When we pay taxes, it's crazy. So we pay for them to just do nothing, and they don't even bother to learn English. And Jake, I think some people might think this is a stream about hate, about intolerance. There's a difference between tolerating someone who looks different or thinks different than someone who is ideologically opposed to a society where it's a tolerable society, where people with different ideas are tolerated. When someone is ideologically opposed to the Constitution of the country, when they say, actually, the 19th Amendment, which granted women suffrage, which, sometimes I feel like we could do away without that one, but sometimes, but when you have people who think their women have to be into jobs and they are second-class citizens and don't have the same rights or personhood as men, that's a problem. And you do have to call that out. And you have to recognize that problem before it becomes a bigger one, like you said in Dearborn. They're having like 10 billion kids. The reason,
And they're getting paid by our tax
exactly.
dollars to have each child.
Look at
$4,500, the mayor just said, each child.
That's crazy. And look at London. I think the most common boy name in not just London, but all the major UK cities is Mohammed, Ahmed. You know, all the names you wouldn't expect from a British boy. Where's Connor? Where's George? Where's Arthur? Like
Edward.
yeah, where's Jacob? Well, that's a Jewish one. That's a Jewish one. That's your people. But no, Jake. So what you're doing is absolutely important, and I want to end this off by just praying over you. And Lord, I pray that you give Jake that conviction, and also keep him full of energy to fight, Lord, and give him the things you are sensitive about, so that he can carry on those things and use his trumpet voice to call those things out, and to help these Somalians come to Christ, because that's ultimately our goal. Lord, open their hearts and their minds to Jesus. Lord, we bless you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Here's what's interesting.
Amen.
Somalians and Ethiopians are pretty similar. Like, they look similar. But no one has as big of a problem with Somalians or with Ethiopians as they do with Somalians. And it's because Ethiopians are Christian. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. You don't see people going, oh man, these Ethiopians are taking over like some city in America. Because even if they were, we don't really know, because they don't come in and say, oh, we're going to build 10 mosques, we're going to have 5 prayer calls a day, we're going to dominate here, we're going to use tribal warfare and clan ethnic identities from Somalia to elect our leaders in America. Like, they don't do that. So that just proves that this is a culture thing, right? It's deep rooted in those things. But Jake, give me your closing words, and then I'm going to kick you out, and then I'm going to say goodbye to the people.
Sure. Well, George, thank you for the platform, brother. All the people that constantly tune in to George's updates, especially when I'm on. God bless you guys. You guys are the tip of the spear with us fighting for this great American constitutional republic. So I thank you guys. Really, it was your votes that got me free. The dollars you donate that help fund everything we do, your prayers that keep me protected from twig-armed, pedophile worshiping Muslims that want to punch me in the face. And it's your love, honestly, that it's our love that we should be remembered for as Christians. The love of our country, the love of our identity. We're not here to spew hatred. Oh, I hate this person stinks, and Indians, this is that. Listen, at the end of the day, all these cultures are beautiful cultures, but we deserve to enjoy them back in their homelands.
Wait. Not all of them are beautiful.
No, but they have their own. Beautiful is definitely a higher up word.
I don't think the cow dung festival, where they literally. I don't think.
No, but that's part of their thing. That's what makes Indians.
Nah, man, I'm intolerant about that. There's no way.
Who am I to judge as long as they're doing it in Mumbai and not in Toledo? Who am I to judge them? I wouldn't participate, but at the end of the day, we just don't want to lose our identity to virtue signal how much we love you. We love our people so much to want to preserve who they are, so they have value inside themselves. They have heritage. They have some type of shared underlying belief system that keeps a cohesive way of life and country here. So the love of our country is superseding the love of your country. We love you guys and love your countries, but not more than we love America. And we love America enough to fight for America and stand for America. So just be blessed and continue fighting. Do whatever you can do to support our movement, because honestly, there's not many people that are willing to put their lives on the line for America anymore. It's a very, selfish kind of environment we live in, and we need to support those who are selfless enough to go and do the brave things necessary to secure freedom and a future for our children's children. I don't know about you, but the last thing I want to know is that if I could peek into my crystal ball, I don't want my grandchildren to be turned Muslim. You know what I mean? Because they've just absolutely dominated the culture here. I want my grandchildren to grow up in the same upper white class, suburban mountain town in upstate New York that I did. With the same demographics, the same ideologies, the same way of life, because that's what made me the man I am. And I want my children to have that same opportunity, and that's a blessing I wish to pass down to my family through any means necessary, through blood, sweat, tears. That's what it means to be an American, to lay down your life for those who you love. And, let's continue this fight. Thank you so much, George, and God bless you guys out there. Stay tuned with me on X. Type in. I just got my OG username. My username on X now is @JakeLang. Nothing else. So
Okay,
you can
cool.
you can find me right there. Just type in that name right there on the search bar in X, on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere. YouTube. You could just type that in and follow me there. So that's a blessing.
Okay, Jake, I'm going to kick you out now. Bye.
God bless.
I kicked about literally. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Jake Lang talking about his major rally, major march on City Hall in Minneapolis. It's going to be a big one. The Dearborn rally went crazy viral. I think I heard people talking about it in real life, and that's how you know something made an impact. He filed 3 lawsuits, I think, after that, filed lawsuits against people calling him a Jewish op sent by Netanyahu and Mossad to destabilize America. He's actually not that. Jake is very Christian, and although ethnically Jewish, he's Christian, and that's what's first and foremost for him. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really did. Jake is always fun. Spoke to him a lot while he was in jail as a J6 prisoner, and I'm glad he's out. President Trump pardoned him. There was a chance he was going to be in there for forever. And by the way, Jake never had a trial, so he was in prison for 4 years without a trial, which is crazy, right? Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, it's good to have Jake on. Good to have him freed. And I told him in person, I didn't want him running for political office because I felt him doing this kind of thing was going to be more beneficial for America. And I'm glad he's doing it. Because ultimately you need people like Jake to push that envelope, right? Or push that Overton window, and just because we need to broaden the range of acceptable discourse. And so when you have someone going that far, he brings other people to the conversation and brings other ideas to the conversation. Ultimately, this is about assimilation. The Somalis refuse to do it. And that's why there's such a disconnect between them and the people they are living around in Minnesota, and same thing in Dearborn and other communities. But it's about Jesus. If there's a revival with people, with Somali communities, and they become followers of Christ, none of these problems would exist. Their women would have freedom. Their young boys would not be thugs and feel, alienated to the point where they're committing crimes. Everyone would just be united, and it's Christ that brings us together. It's Jesus, really. But anyways, let me read some of these super chats here, and then I'm gonna dip. This guy said, Jake Lang, you're my hero. Yep, Jake is your hero. Awesome. Appreciate your work. You guys are doing this again. First time donor. Welcome back with your channel. It's nice. Nice. What is it with you guys and compliments, and why aren't you roasting me in these super chats? Why aren't you saying, why aren't you making crazy jokes? But yeah, I appreciate all the money. I'm a grifter, so this is how I buy weed and Kool-Aid and watermelon. Be careful covering. You may have violence against you if you try to investigate activity. I don't know what that means. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Sappiness. We love you. Oh man. Someone said the USA is a mixed country. Sure, but mixed Christians living together. That's what it's always been. Different kinds of Christians. Yeah, true. Nick Shirley did something good. Yeah, that Dearborn one was crazy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be getting out of here. I'm sure I'll be posting today. It's a Saturday, so I don't stop work. We keep going, baby. Why'd you let Neil talk you into camping in the Neil, you know what? Neil won me over. I like doing that stuff now. All right, thank you all very much for watching. God bless and goodbye.